Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX and I'm Vaishali Kohli. Now, as the nationwide protests against Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's regime enter their third week on January 15, 2026 morning, the situation remains volatile. Reports from human rights groups, including Amnesty International's latest findings, describe mass unlawful killings on an unprecedented scale since the January 8 internet blackout, with security forces using live ammunition, metal pellets, and coordinated repression against mostly peaceful demonstrators. Independent estimates put the death toll in thousands, with thousands more arrested amid reports of overflowing hospitals, makeshift morgues, and imported militia adding the crackdown to the crackdown. Now, the unrest, which began in late December over economic collapse, currency devaluation, bizarre strikes, and long-standing grievances, has spread to all 31 provinces. It has evolved into open calls for regime change, echoing the 2022 Women, Life, Freedom movement, with chants against the leadership and symbolic displays of pre-1979 flags. As MEA issues an advisory for Indians in Iran, let's take a look at the full breakdown of Indians in Iran, what they do, and where they're concentrated. So let me take you through that, viewers. Iran is on the boil, as we all know. And now let's talk about Indians in Iran. The total number of Indians is what we're discussing. Approximately 4,000 to 10,765 non-resident Indians and persons of Indian origin live in Tehran. Now, that is a breakup of the non-resident Indians. Now, let's go to the breakdown by major cities. Tehran, largest concentration, likely several thousand. This is where most professionals, students, academics, and business people reside. Let's go to Zahedan. Now, that is the second main hub with a few hundred to several hundred people, historically settled by Sikh and Punjabi families in the 1920s. So that's Tehran and Zahedan that we've told you about. What they do in Iran, let's talk about their professions. Now, trade and small businesses, a significant portion run shops, import-export ventures or family-owned enterprises. Let's go on to professionals and skilled workers. Include doctors, engineers, teachers, academics, IT consultants, and those in pharmaceuticals or oil-related projects. Let's now go on to students, a growing segment around 2,000 in recent years, up from 186 in 2020, pursuing higher education. This is the profession of Indians in Iran. All right, viewers, so that is an overview of how Indians are concentrated in Iran and what they do there when it comes to their profession. I have Ambassador KP Fabian, former diplomat. Ambassador Fabian, welcome, and I'd like to begin with your opening comments.
Good morning to you. The situation in Iran is getting worse. The protests are continuing, the killings are continuing, but it seems that a previously planned execution has been either cancelled or postponed. That is one part of the story. The other is President Trump, what he will do. Now, it has been pointed out that he has not built up any assets in the region by sending an aircraft carrier and all that sort of thing. Also, he has asked some personnel to move out of American bases, say in Qatar and probably elsewhere, giving the impression that some action is being planned. But let us dig deeper. What can President Trump do in terms of military action? He can bomb maybe the IRGC, maybe where the Ayatollah is, if he knows, if President Trump knows that. But that in itself may not make things different, because there is the possibility that the Iranian people might rally around the flag. And already we have seen reports of one or two demonstrations, including burials of security personnel killed, attended by, tens of thousands of people. So, and also we have to bear in mind that the information that we seem to be getting from Iran may or may not be reliable. I have seen reports about 3,000 deaths, then even 10,000 deaths. So, we do not know. All that we can see is that deaths have been there, and it's very, very bad. Now, the main actors are Ayatollah Khamenei, President Trump. I will put IRGC, because if they sort of stop supporting the Ayatollah, then he falls. But so far, there is no sign of that. And there is also a third actor. His name is Netanyahu, because he himself is under trouble with corruption charges against him. So a conflagration in Iran with the possible fall of the regime there will be a feather in his cap. So this is the situation, and Iran has threatened to hit back if America strikes at American military bases in the region and also on Israel. And Trump has said that if Iran does resort to any attack, he would retort. So, it is a war of words. So far, it's only war of words. So let us see. And meanwhile, Trump has also said that he doesn't think that Reza Shah, he's 65 years old. He must have left Iran after the Shah fell when I was there. And Trump has said that he doesn't think that he has enough support. So, to put it this way, the regime might fall, but then what follows is the question. So far, there is no credible political leadership to claim authority and enforce it. So it can happen that the regime falls and there is civil war. But, war of all against all, a scenario which Netanyahu would adore, and by extension, maybe President Trump also might not mind.
Now, Ambassador Fabian, reports indicate live ammunition, metal pellets, and coordinated repression against largely peaceful protesters. Now, under international law, how would such actions be classified?
Such actions are illegal, but you said peaceful protesters. Now, what seems to be happening, again, I'm sitting here, I'm not there, while most protesters are peaceful, it seems some other people have infiltrated into the protest, and some of them are indulging in violence. That is point number one. Point number two is that the Khamenei regime, it's a theocracy, it's not a democracy. So any sign of protest is seen as something to be put down with full force of the violence at the disposal of the state. So, it's a very, very deplorable situation.
Ambassador Fabian, thank you for joining me on the broadcast. Now, Iran reopened its airspace